Well, it's not every day that you have such a goalie-skater rivalry like the one we've seen develop between Jordan Binnington and Nazem Kadri. Binnington, who's resembled a rather loose cannon over the years, has developed the reputation of being fiery and aggressive, especially when it comes to his opponents. Kadri, on the other hand, who's been suspended multiple times in the postseason, carries a reputation as well for being a headhunter who hasn't been able to control his emotions. So in a sense, the pair does have one thing in common. Even though Kadri has been able to stay out of the press box so far this playoffs, the image he has unfortunately still stands. In this video, we're going to go over the history of hate between these two, while going over some events in which the rivals have clashed. And with that, here's the history of hate between Jordan Binnington and Nazem Kadri. Close to the start of the 2021-22 campaign, things quickly began to heat up in St. Louis during the second meeting of the season between the Blues and the Colorado Avalanche. After nearly 2 periods of the game being played in Colorado's favor, Binnington was likely frustrated with the overall situation. And really, it didn't take much to get the netminder and his team to lash out at the Avs, after a shot was taken with the net being off its moorings. Following the botched attempt to extend the lead by Cale Makar, the two teams engaged in a scrum behind the nets. But it's what happened after the fact that we're all here to see, am I right? Well, for some reason, Binnington decided to single out Kadri and proceeded to target him during a stoppage in play. By targeting him, I mean swinging his stick in a threatening way towards the forward. Directly after, Kadri did skate back into the blue zone, but it all ended with verbal jarring from there. Well, for this display of unprovoked aggression, Binnington was given a 10-minute misconduct penalty for his actions. Afterwards, the goaltender seemed to regret his actions while saying, quote, "I don't condone it. It doesn't need to happen. Getting in the scrum was enough. I didn't need to do stuff after. No, I'm not crazy," he says. "It's a tense game and it's not part of modern day hockey. Maybe back in the olden days, but it is what it is." Well, after this altercation, it was pretty logical to assume that this bad blood wasn't going to fizzle out between the two players. Therefore, even though the stick swinging incident was in the rearview mirror, many believed that in some way, the two opponents were going to clash again in round 2 of the postseason. And by game 3, it was clear that the assumption proved to be correct. Kadri, who seemed to get tangled up with Calle Rosen while driving to the net, lost his footing and unfortunately made contact with Binnington. Now, if it was pretty much anyone else on the Avalanche team, there wouldn't have been such an uproar. However, since it happened to be Nazem Kadri that crashed into the netminder, well, this seemed to rattle Binnington just a little extra. But we'll get to that later. Therefore, within just minutes of the contest in St. Louis, the Blues were dealt a horrible blow as Jordan Binnington was forced to leave the game. But interestingly, the real drama didn't start during the playing time, but rather during the post-game. While Kadri was interviewing on TNT, going over the incident that happened with Binnington, his attention briefly was directed elsewhere. The Athletics' own Peter Baugh confirmed what Kadri suspected, that it indeed was caused by a water bottle being thrown his direction, with the perpetrator being Binnington himself. Baugh said that 2 sources nearby in Enterprise Center corroborated it, including Tariq El-Bashir, also from The Athletic. Regardless, Kadri went on to try and share his side of the story, when water bottles weren't flying at him, that is. "I just see a loose puck, really. It was just kind of sitting behind him. Their defenseman collided with me and pushed me into him. Had that not been the case, I don't think I would have hit him at all," he says. At this point, as this video is being made, no discipline has been dealt to Binnington for his actions against Kadri. Binnington will likely miss the rest of the postseason due to a lower body injury.